Maybe you jump back, I don't know. But it's we've jumped into the 70s, the psychedelic kind of mad 70s, and that helps us with, you know, stuff at play, psychedelic mind control drugs, the kind of fashion and the music and stuff like that. That's always been a big part of Pennyworth. Has been a lot of fun, yeah.
And kind of on that tack, coming off of last season, obviously a time jump brings a lot emotionally for a character. What was your preparation like for this season? Can you preview any of the journey for Pennyworth this season?
Well, a lot of the prep was, you know, 5 years is quite a long time. It can fly by like that, especially, you know, now, like with COVID, I feel like we've been doing this show for 4 years, and it kind of feels like 4 days, and also 45 years. I can't quite work it out. But in terms of prep, it was just thinking about, you know, Alfred, I think, has gone from a boy to a man, really, from the beginning, from the pilot episode to where we are now. And you know, I'm 31 myself. This show has been a part of my life for a number of years, and it was thinking about the parallels of how my life has changed and how his life may have changed over that time was useful to me, sort of bringing it back personally and back home.
Speaking to that, do you have a mentor on set that is something of a Thomas Wayne to you, something of a divining rod that you look to help develop you in not just the character but also personally?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, Bruno Heller, our showrunner, is sort of a mystic genius, I think. But he's so clever. Half the time I don't understand what he's saying, which is quite funny. But he's been fantastic. Matthew Patnick, who's an executive producer on the show, Danny Cannon, special mention to him for you know, he was the one that cast me, and he's taught me a lot about the industry as a whole. And then on the acting side, you know, James Purefoy, who came in and played Gully Troy, what a person to be able to work with. We had a lot of fun filming and in the hotel afterwards.
Excellent. This show has always felt fresh to me. Like, we haven't seen something like this on TV. So I know with the time jump, and even before that, when you were preparing for the show in general, was there anything that you watched to kind of, like Man from U.N.C.L.E. or anything like that kind of helped inspire you?
We went to, me and Simon Magnonda, who plays Lucius Fox, went to a special screening of the film Get Carter with Michael Caine. This sort of revenge story that they'd remastered it, so we went to the BFI in London on a little date night there and watched that, which was good fun. Yeah, but lots of stuff like that, and listening to music and kind of trying to immerse yourself back in that world.
The promos for the the promos for the press stuff that we see in teases that, you know, that we're moving into the era of superheroes and supervillains. Is there anything that you can tease us about? Anything, or any familiar faces we might be seeing this season as far as characters that we might recognize?
There's lots of familiar faces, yeah, they're coming back. There's also some new faces. There's, speaking of faces, you might see a sort of early version of Clayface come in.
Very cool.
And there's a point in which we actually go to Gotham as well.
Nice.
Very briefly. So yeah, there's lots for fans to be excited about.
Very cool.
So Alfred always had his partners in crime, Dave Boy and Baza. How is he going to handle like life on his own now? How's he managing without them?
Well, Dave Boy's still around, but Baza, yeah, it's tough. I think Baza and Dave Boy were kind of the angel and devil on Alfred's shoulders, and they guided him through, and now he's just got Dave Boy, which is great. But then Bet has come to work with Pennyworth Security, so she adds that danger element as well as Dave Boy, and you know, we started to see him getting a little bit closer to the Waynes. Mrs. Pennyworth is working for the Waynes as a nanny, so that's kind of like an early foreshadowing of a butler, you know, a kind of service person for the Waynes. So yeah, he's not entirely alone, although Sandra has left him, or he's left her, so yeah, it's interesting.
Now, what does it say to his growth that now he has two devils on his shoulders? Because that was a great analogy, and we all know Bet is, again, something of a firecracker. How is that going to affect his growth, you think?
Yeah, I think he has to work even harder to keep on the straight and narrow with those two. But I think it's interesting to see his the sort of parent figure within him, or the guardian figure within him, you know, because a lot of the time he spends looking after Dave Boy because he's a bit useless and he's going to get stabbed, you know he is, and he's going to get shot, and it's like, not again, come on, which is quite funny. But yeah, basically he's trying to keep Dave Boy alive, and but I think in terms of his development, yeah, it's beginning to see that sort of nurturing side of him that goes on to be obviously the guardian of Bruce.
With the show moving from Epix to HBO Max, has there been any changes in terms of, like, does it feel on set, or, you know, what it's like, you know, making the show, or has it been pretty much status quo for you guys as the cast?
I mean, it was fairly similar. The work doesn't change, you know, we're going and our job doesn't change, but there certainly was a feeling of a bit of a raise. You've got to raise your game, and everyone was like, poor, you know. I mean, I grew up, of course, with watching numerous shows with the HBO, you know, and the HBO Max is an accolade. It's something that you know, we're excited about, but yeah, the day to day didn't feel hugely different.
Could we expect like special guests, recurring guests coming up?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of people in and out. One of the things that we tried to do this season 2, there was a lot of politics and jumping around and like different storylines. And this time, you know, Pennyworth works best when everyone's together. You know, this motley crew of weirdos. But it's very difficult to find ways to get Bet and Alfred together and get people. But Bruno's done a good job from the beginning. They're all working together, and yeah, there's some old faces crop up. Let's just say.
The show, obviously, it doesn't draw directly from the Batman comic book very much, but I'm just curious, do you guys, like, have you ever gone back and sort of read some of the Alfred, you know, comics and stuff? Have you immersed yourself in that side of the world at all?
Not hugely. I did for a bit, and then I was getting too immersed, and then I was like, oh no, I can't, because I need to be focused on what we're doing, which is before all of that. Right. But I've read, there's a series of Pennyworth comics which I've read, which is amazing and bizarre to think that we've done it that way round, you know. It's pretty cool, yeah.
Awesome. Now, even in that little bit of time that you immerse yourself in the comics, is there any characters that you would like to see brought into the show?
Oh, I'd like to see the Joker.
Yeah,
a real early version of that would be incredible, yeah.
You were talking earlier a little bit about the 70s setting. What was it like on set with the cinematography, the costumes? I mean, the screeners that we saw, it looked so immersive and so real. It must have felt very similar.
Oh, it's incredible, yeah. The costume design is brilliant. Liza, our costume designer, has been with us from the beginning, and I think she's incredible. And it always, for me, you know, the suits are so tailored to within an inch of their life that it makes me stand different. It's like wearing a corset, you know. I can't slouch, which is good. So that helps me with the physicality. And the sets, you know, they're incredible. The backlot that we have is amazing. They were getting like train lines in and all sorts, and it's like being at Disneyland.
Thank you so much for your time.
Nice to meet you guys.
Continued success.
Yeah. Have a good con.
Thanks.